Throughout this course, I've learned a lot about intercultural communication and communication in general. I've taken a lot of what we have learned throughout these last 12 weeks into consideration, especially in my job title as a paraprofessional in an elementary school. So this is just my take on some of the things that have interested me or things that I've really taken away from this course. So communication as a whole, I think really relies on the culture and the background that you are from, your setting, your experiences, your cultural group, your values, your morals, and what we're raised on. Especially our experiences in life. I think that if we have a negative experience, we're more likely to be apprehensive towards things, and if we have a positive experience, we're obviously more likely to be open and have less anxiety when, communicating, I guess is where I'm getting to. In intercultural communication, it's clear to see that there are many different barriers that affect our ability to communicate across cultures and even just our differences, talking like in a broad picture of communication. One of the biggest barriers that I've noticed or even really noticed in myself and others, especially in this area, is anxiety and apprehension. And it feels that it has a lot to do with the lack of diversity in our area. So as I said, anxiety for me is one of the biggest barriers and one of the things I struggle with most when it comes to communicating interculturally. And for me, this is really based on intimidation with media. Back when the BLM movement was really big, it seemed like if you weren't already knowledgeable, then you were in this other group that was labeled bad. And it felt like to become knowledgeable and to ask those questions was really difficult because it still felt that you were in this group that was labeled bad, that was uneducated, that didn't understand or wasn't trying to understand. And it really, I felt like split us in this, or put us in this situation that made it really hard to ask those questions, to get to know different cultures, to be more understanding, to protect them in the long run, or protect people in the long run. So yeah, media really made that hard for a while, where it just felt like everyone online knew everything, and if you wanted to know more, it kind of just felt like they were almost not being kind about it in a way, and making it feel like if you didn't already know, then you're part of the problem. And this leads me to how we can make this better. Like, how can we make communication across cultures, even just in general communication, more normalized and less intimidating? And the answer to that really lies in education and practice. I think that it's really important to start to think about education at a younger age, about different cultural identities, different identities in general, and personal identity, as brains are way more malleable at a younger age. And I feel that if I was educated more openly about identity and especially cultural identity, that I wouldn't be as unknowing as I am now. I also think for a lot of people that maybe aren't as accepting of different cultures now, would be more accepting if they had been educated at a younger age. Because as I said in the beginning, our experiences in life oftentimes really shape the way we think. And experiences also include how our parents raise us and their ideas and morals and values and all of that. But if we teach equality, if we teach these things in schools in a very open way, it will make things much, much easier for the next generation to communicate openly and ask those questions. Yeah. So as I said, practicing asking questions in the correct way, practicing talking to people who are different from you instead of, hanging your head every time you see someone you don't know. Or, sorry, my dog is going crazy. Or, just practicing communication in general, talking to people, learning from your mistakes, learning from the good that comes from those communications. Again, challenging yourself with that practice. And I've had to practice recently at school because we had a refugee group come from Ukraine and live with a host family in our town of Heartland. So there's 3 Ukraine students, and one is in the 4th grade where I am a para. And she is very, very smart, and I've really had to test the knowledge that I've gained from this class with this group of Ukrainian students, because you have to really gauge if you are being helpful or if you are not being helpful, if you are being kind, if it seems like you're being kind, or if it seems like you're being too pushy. And technology has been a savior for me in this situation, as Google Translate is an amazing, amazing thing as they're still learning English language. But yeah, there's been many times in classes like music class or just many of our extracurricular classes, not extracurricular, but what are they called? Special classes, like PE, music, all those. That's when I'm usually needed the most to hang out with those kiddos. And it's been really fun to get to know their culture in a way that is kind, is respectful, and also in a way where they get to learn our culture too. Anytime I typically ask a question to them, I answer with a question about me or a question about our culture. And I think that, to conclude, that is a really great way to practice. And it's hard to practice because of the lack of diversity in our area. And I'm very thankful that I've gotten this opportunity to hang out with these kids and get to know them, because it's definitely been a helpful, I don't want to say experiment, but experience to navigate while also taking this class. And I think that it's important to continue effective training and education. I've taken many trainings throughout my school educational career. It's only been 2 years, but I've taken at least 3 courses that are based on effective communication across cultures. And that awareness is really what we need, and more of it. So, yes, thank you for listening.